What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're just finishing up seeding canola by the home farm, and then we have one more field to go to. And then that'll be our 2 fields of canola. And then we have 2 fields of corn to harvest. So I'm going to have to... Whoop, didn't even turn the planter on. The seeder on. Then we have 2 fields of corn to go do. It wasn't my decision. It's kind of what the game spawned in. You don't really have a choice unless you use start and spring, but start and spring causes problems. So then you start and spring on this map just kind of accepted what the game put in. So I got 2 fields of corn to harvest, probably rent some corn heads and then go knock that out. There we go. Yeah, so this video is going to be a rant video on a specific college football team that I'm not particularly thrilled about right now. Just to recap, I guess, the weekend. I went 5 for 5 on picks. That's good. So I am now 9 out of 10, 9-1 with my picks for this year. So I'm doing really good. But the one team I'm not happy with is a team that almost made me lose again this week. The only pick I've been wrong about was the USC LSU pick. I guess that's what I get for picking LSU. Never picking Brian Kelly's team again, I'll tell you that. Anyway, so my rant tonight, it's night when I'm filming this. It's going to be on the Oregon. Mostly the offense is really where a lot of my issue stems right now. Because it's just baffling to me how much talent has been brought in this year, where they lost, how much money has been spent on this roster, and yet the offense, this team is squeaking out wins. I mean, they got in a dogfight with an FCS team. They were in a dogfight with Boise State last night. It's just baffling to me, and it all stems from the offensive line. Literally, this is where all the problems lie, are right on the offensive line, because they can't block at all. There's no pass blocking. Gabriel has been sacked as many times as they gave up sacks last year. So he's been sacked like I think 8 or 9 times already, and they gave up 10 sacks for the entire year last year. They gave up 1 sack through the first 8 games last year. So clearly the offensive line was way better last year. Poncho usually plays center, but Poncho's having to play right guard because Matthew Bedford is out. And they're having Alex Pickard, I think is what the kid's name is. Or Charlie Pickard. It's Charlie Pickard. He's a walk-on. They're having him play at center. And I've seen enough. I have seen enough for the first 2 games. Poncho needs to go back to playing center. Because last night, they came out in the second half of that game, and they had Poncho at center, and it seemed like the offense kind of clicked a lot better with Poncho at center. So I think point blank going forward, Poncho plays center, that's that. If this team wants to win, Poncho's going to have to play center, because the walk-on kid ain't cutting it. Not at all. And after game 1, I was kind of up in the air like, are we putting some of the blame on Gabriel or not? And when I looked at the stat sheet, I'm like, well, Gabriel's numbers are pretty good. And even last night, Gabriel actually looks pretty good when he has time to throw the ball. Now, when he's got to do it in his face every other play, this is why he looks so bad, is because it's not necessarily him. Granted, he did miss some wide open receivers last night, but the guy really has no time to throw because the offensive line can't stop anybody. The play calling has been nothing but it's just not been good at all. Anything but spectacular at this point. The first game looked very, very bland in my opinion. I thought a lot of the calls were really just basic genetic calls, and I'm like, okay, it's an FCS school. They're kind of just trying to save the playbook for, Big Ten play. Really going to open it up then, so they were kind of just holding back, I thought. Now I'm not so sure, because even last night's play calling was better, but it was still, a lot of it was like, what are you doing? The jet sweeps don't work anymore. We need to go north and south with the ball. The jet sweep stuff does not work. I'm okay with if you're going to stack 3 receivers on top of each other on one side, 2 are going to block, and you're going to throw a screen and then run down the field. I'm okay with running a play like that. Those actually seem to do pretty decent for us. But this jet sweep stuff just does not work anymore. Does not work. And if they think they're going to run this crap against Ohio State, I doubt it. This trying to work the edge just is not happening. The offense seems really, really slow this year. Like, compared to last year, I mean, this team looks so slow. And I noticed that game 1, I'm like, why does this team look so slow? And again, Boise State last night, they looked slow again. And I'm like, what? There's no tempo to this team. And I know they've used tempo as an advantage in the past. And there's none of that with this team. I know they have the in-helmet communication this year, but it seems like they line up and then they're still not ready to snap the ball. They look at the sideline for another 10, 15 seconds, and then they finally snap the ball. Or they huddle for too long. And I know there was the go-ahead touchdown that Boise got last night was a play where Gabriel's looking towards the sideline. He's not even ready for the ball. Pickard snaps it, and it just kind of lands in Gabriel's arms, and he just takes off with it. And then he got the first down, but he fumbled it, which allowed Boise to recover and then for the go-ahead touchdown, like a play or so later. I'm not sure why they started with Pickard first half of the game, then they switched to Poncho in the third half, and then they went back to Pickard. That's why I say I'm done with Pickard. Put Poncho at center. Because they went back to Pickard and the offense went to hell again. It all fell apart again. And to be honest, that snap, that snap was on time, but the fact that the offense wants to run so slow is what made it not be, if that makes any sense. And the play they ran to Trayshawn, it was basically just a slant play is all it was. That went for a touchdown. That's what we're used to seeing out of this team. Where has that been? You know, if we got to dink and dunk our way down the field sometimes, then that's what we got to do. You know, we did it happened quite a bit last year. Had to dink and dunk it, but if it worked, it worked. You know? Discipline's another big thing on this team. There's no discipline. The amount of penalties so far is atrocious. Downright atrocious. The first game it was illegal formations on the offensive line because we had one lineman who played a lot last year, which is why I say it's unexcusable, who couldn't find where the offensive line was and kept getting called for illegal formation. And you know, the other problem with the offense is why when we're having to start, it seems like every drive at some point they're in a 1st and 20 situation because either illegal formation, they're holding something. So that does not help anybody. The defense, I'm actually praising the defense a little bit this year. The defense actually looks pretty good. I mean, I know some people are probably looking at like, they don't look good. They let an FCS school score on them. Yeah, they let them score because of 2 trick plays. Because the offense couldn't move the ball and help them out. Oh, they gave up 34 to Boise. I'm here to tell you now, if any team out there thinks you're going to stop Ashton Genty, you're wrong. That dude... No joke. I think that dude's going to be the best running back in all college football this year if he stays healthy. I don't know if I've never really seen him play. If he stays healthy, I think he's one of the best backs in America. That dude is insane. They held him last night pretty well. I mean, out of his 192 yards he rushed for last night, 70 of it came on one play, on a busted coverage play. Which... Other than that, the defense did a pretty good job of keeping him in check most of the game last night. I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty happy with the defense. I'm pretty proud of those guys. The defensive line, some mean dudes up there. They got their hands on the ball a lot last night. Jordan Burch actually, there was 2 times where he could have had an interception. One time where he really should have actually had it because he ran right in front of the receiver and he batted the ball and he just didn't quite catch it. But if he'd have caught that, he probably would have been going for 6 because it was right down there on their end of the field. on Boise's end of the field, and Boise had the ball. So and they were tipping balls last night. Like it seemed like they were getting the hands on a lot of those passes were tipped. So I'm pretty happy with what I saw with the defense. If the offense could just get off their ass and actually do something, it would tremendously help out the defense. I mean, what the defense is giving up, it's because the offense isn't doing them any favors, you know. And when Ohio State comes to town, I have no idea. Like I really don't know how this is gonna go, because I think the offense is kind of some frauds right now. You know, the defense can only do so much. This is probably the greatest I've seen our defense in a long time. They're doing really good. The offense is just such a disaster right now because the offensive line can't figure it out. They can figure that out, might actually go some places. Play calling's been atrocious. I think Bo Nix was actually really running the offense last year. I don't think it was Will Stein and the coordinator. I think it was actually Bo Nix really calling the plays last year, and Will Stein was just going with it. Because it seems like Gabriel looks pretty lost out there, which is kind of crazy for a guy that's his 6th year college football. He just seems lost quite a bit. If it wasn't for special teams last night, they would have lost that game. Who returns a punt for a touchdown and a kickoff? Who does that and almost loses still? That's insane. Like, it's very rare that you get both of those in the same game. And the fact that you did that and you almost still lost. This team. I think the hype for this team was just incredible. And they're not living up to it. That rat poison, I would say. They play Oregon State next week. Oregon State absolutely hates Oregon's guts. More now so than ever. Because they want to blame Oregon for the Pac-12 breakup. Like, a majority it's Oregon's fault. And why Oregon State got left out, basically, of the conference realignment. Nobody wanted them. It's all Oregon's fault. So they'll definitely be ready to play. Oregon's not going to have home field advantage. Going to have to go to Corvallis. So I want to say I think Oregon will squeak it out again. I think we'll squeak it out. I'm not expecting much. Probably another nail biter and barely win again. Then there's the bye week. Usually I hate bye weeks. I'm so happy the bye week is coming. Because this team needs to regroup and needs to really evaluate and figure out what are they doing going forward. Because this crap is not going to work against Ohio State, and it ain't going to work against Michigan when they go play there. So, got to figure this out. I know the O-line is banged up right now because Matthew Bedford, who's usually the right guard, is not playing. He had a knee injury the second to last week of fall camp, so we're missing an offensive lineman. I don't think that he's going to solve every single issue. That would be amazing, but him coming back in the lineup will certainly help. He comes back, Poncho stays at center indefinitely, and we'll see what this team can do then. As far as the play calling goes, I just want to believe that they're going to really open it against Ohio State, and they're just kind of holding back right now. I'd like to believe that. I don't know. They're gonna have to figure this out real quick. I know that, or it's gonna get real ugly. And my last thing with this team is, I don't know if this is like just totally part of the plan or what, because Washington did the same thing last year. They played down to people. The teams they should have blown out, they just barely squeaked by. They played down to them. And then like when they played Oregon twice last year and Texas, they showed up and played the game of their life. Both those games, when they needed to win, they showed up and did it. So I don't know if that's what the approach to this year is. I don't think it's a good approach if that's really the case. But Washington found themselves in a national title last year. I mean, granted, it didn't go over so well against Michigan. But Washington's, that's what they did last year and got there. Georgia in 2022, there were plenty of times where Georgia should have probably lost. I mean, Kentucky almost beat them, I believe. That was 2022. I don't think that was last year. I think it was 22. Kentucky almost beat them. They almost lost to Georgia Tech as well. There were plenty of games in 2022 where Georgia, when they needed to be dominant, they did. And then people like Vanderbilt and stuff, they played down to and barely squeaked by. And Georgia won a national title. So that's where I'm kind of like, was this what this team is doing? Just playing down to these people on purpose? Or, like, is this part of the plan? Like, are we just playing down to Idaho, Boise? Going to play down to UCLA? And then when Ohio State comes to town, then we're going to let her rip and really open it up? Is that what this is? In hopes that, Ohio State's going to look at us and go, it ain't competition. And then we're going to just sneak up and absolutely blow them apart. I don't think that's going to happen, but is that just part of the plan? Is we're going to really bring our A game then? Seems like a bad idea to me. But I don't know. It's only week 2. Some people are saying, Oregon's going to be fine. They're going to be fine. And I'm kind of like, time's ticking. There are things that need addressed, and they need addressed now. Because I'm telling you, when Ohio State comes to town, it's going to get ugly if something doesn't get fixed right now. Because the defense is not going to hold them all game long. I can see our defense holding Ohio State for maybe half of the game, but after halftime, it's going to get ugly. I think they got 30 minutes to really hold them back. And then it's going to get ugly. If the offense doesn't do it, if the offense can step in and kind of control the game, I like our chances. But if the offense can't do anything and is going to come out here and lay an egg, which is where I think it's going to happen, then it's over with. The defense is only going to be able to do so much. You know, they held Ashton Genty in check a lot of the night last night. Ohio State's got 2 running backs of his caliber, so you have 2 of them now. I mean, obviously only one can be on the field, and only one can have the ball at a time. But they're going to have to figure it out on offense, especially when you play Ohio State. This Saturday will be a month away. So I guess we'll see what they come up with. They're going to have to call better plays, that's for sure. This bland play call is going to have to go. But I guess we'll see. I'm not ready to hit the panic button yet. I'm not far from it, though, I think. Not far from it. So we'll see what they do with Oregon State. If they come out here and absolutely dominate them, then maybe everybody's freaking out for no reason. But they got moved back to number 9. They lost 2 more spots in the AP poll. AP poll, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. It only matters at the end of the year. Are you one of the 12 teams now? That's all that matters. AP poll doesn't matter. I mean, squeaking out wins is not the best way to do this, but if you're winning, you're winning, I guess. But something's going to have to get addressed here pretty quick. But that's going to be my little rant. Thoughts about this Oregon team. Hopefully this will be the only one I have to do this year. I have a gut feeling that I will be back up here, probably ranting again somewhere along the line. They're gonna lay an egg somewhere along the line. I'll probably be back up here again. Probably be more pissed off the next time because just what I think is gonna come is not good. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be. I have a really bad feeling what's going to transpire in the next couple of weeks. But we'll see.